If you're just joining us, a reminder of our breaking news this hour out of Ottawa. Gerald Butts, Justin Trudeau's top advisor, his principal secretary, has resigned. And this comes amid those allegations that the Prime Minister's office interfered to stop a criminal prosecution of SNC-Lavalin. Joining me, Katie Simpson out of Ottawa. So what more are you learning about this sudden resignation, Katie?
Well, I've had a series of text messages from people who are Liberals who I'm speaking with, and even one has sent me a dumpster fire emoji. So this is not a good day for the current government. Gerald Butts, as you've heard throughout this afternoon, he was considered one of the most powerful people in the Prime Minister's office, if not the most powerful person aside from Justin Trudeau. And this resignation coming as a complete surprise, but in the middle, of course, of this SNC-Lavalin affair. Around 2 o'clock Eastern time, a statement was put out first through Twitter and then through the Prime Minister's office as a formal press release saying that I have resigned as Principal Secretary to the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau. He has accepted my resignation. While he denies any wrongdoing, he goes on to acknowledge there are a series of accusations from anonymous sources that he is inappropriately pressured the former Attorney General, Jody Wilson-Raybould, to make a certain decision when it came to SNC-Lavalin. As our viewers are very well aware, over the past 10 days or so, there has been a slow drip of new information of the Prime Minister's office on this issue. We've got part of the statement right there that says, I categorically deny the accusation that I or anyone else in his office, his being the Prime Minister, pressured Ms. Wilson-Raybould. And it goes on to say, my reputation is my responsibility and that is for me to defend. It is in the best interests of the office and it's important work for me to step away. So while he denies any wrongdoing, he goes on to say that these reports that there was inappropriate pressure from the Prime Minister's office on the former Attorney General, Jody Wilson-Raybould, he says he didn't do anything wrong, but those exist, and so it's important for him to step away. Just a short time ago, I interviewed Pierre Poilievre, who is a finance critic for the Conservatives. He's an MP from here in Ottawa. He says this resignation suggests that the Prime Minister's office is in a total state of chaos. Gerald Butts is not only the Prime Minister's principal advisor, they have been together as a political pair from the very beginning. They go back to their McGill days, or their university days at McGill in Quebec and Montreal. And then, of course, all through Justin Trudeau's political life, he's had Gerald Butts there at his side. And as we heard from Patrick Gossage talking about many people outside the PMO don't like the concentration of power in the Prime Minister's office, that is the typical thing that some MPs would quietly voice to reporters, being frustrated about the concentration of power. And part of that frustration came from Gerald Butts because he was considered one of the most powerful advisors in the Prime Minister's office, aside from Katie Telford, who is the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff. She is remaining in her job at this time.
And all this on a huge week ahead already before this bombshell announcement. The Justice Committee meeting again tomorrow, question period as the House resumes after some time off. Not long ago today, we heard from NDP leader Katie Jagmeet Singh calling for a public inquiry into the SNC-Lavalin affair. That was before he had heard this news that we're all sharing about Gerald Butts resigning. What will you be watching for tomorrow?
Well, the Conservatives are now calling for any sort of Justice Committee on this issue to be held in public. And that demand was made before Gerald Butts' resignation, which, of course, is a massive development here in Ottawa. I cannot state enough, I know I was saying this earlier, I cannot state enough the magnitude of this resignation. You know, this is someone who was not elected. This is someone who's behind the scenes, but he held a position and had the Prime Minister's ear. And there are very few people in this country that hold on to that kind of power. So for him to resign is a massively significant moment in this ongoing SNC-Lavalin affair, and of course in the tenure of the Prime Minister's time in office in his first term. This is certainly going to be times will be remembered when Gerald Butts was there and after Gerald Butts being there. But as I mentioned, the Justice Committee meets tomorrow. It's an in-camera meeting, which means that it is held in private. The Conservatives, before this happened, had planned to bring forward a motion. They're hoping the Liberals will listen. They want three things. One, they want all meetings on the SNC-Lavalin affair to be held in public. Two, they want to expand the witness list. Right now, there are 3 witnesses that the Liberals have agreed to hear from on this issue. They want to add 7 more people to that list. On that demand is Gerald Butts, now the former Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, as well as Jody Wilson-Raybould herself and the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Katie Telford. And 3, the Conservatives are calling for all documentation, so emails, text messages, anything, any communications or memos on the SNC-Lavalin issue from November 2015, when the Liberals took office, to the present time. They want all of that information, documentation presented to the Justice Committee. The way that the Conservatives are framing it, they can either accept it and be transparent, or B, vote in favor of a cover-up, as the Conservatives are calling it. Now, politics is far more nuanced than that. But whether the Liberals agree to at least all 3 of those things, it's anyone's guess at this point. During the last Justice Committee meeting, the Liberals did not vote in favor of calling a wider, accept calling a wider range of witnesses to this committee. So that meeting is going to happen tomorrow. It is a meeting being held in private, but we can expect lots of reporters and lots of cameras to be hanging out around that meeting. Of course, tomorrow MPs are back. It will be question period. With the resignation of the Prime Minister's Principal Secretary, the opposition will have so many questions about what on earth was going on in the Prime Minister's office. Even though the Prime Minister's Principal Secretary says in his statement and adamantly denies any wrongdoing, it does beg the question, if nothing wrong was going on, why did this individual feel the need to resign? So that's the natural line of questioning. But this, remember, we are just hours into this development. As we all learn more and get more information about what is going on, those questions and the narrative may shift, but certainly this is going to be a significant day for the Prime Minister in his time in office.
And as Rob Russo, the CBC's Parliamentary Bureau Chief, was telling us not long ago, Katie, it's hard to underestimate the impact this will have on the Prime Minister even going forward. Some people are saying, what will Justin Trudeau do without his closest advisor? And as Rob pointed out, at what point Justin Trudeau had even said, when Gerald speaks, assume it's me speaking.
Yes, and that's something that people who take on the role of parliamentary secretary are generally a very senior advisor who has the Prime Minister's confidence, the utmost support, and as you say, when I speak, I'm speaking for the Prime Minister. So that is, I know that's not necessarily uncommon to that role. I know in other situations where principal secretaries do take on that role, sometimes in some political offices, it's possibly the chief of staff, or there are other people who take on that political seniority. And as we heard from Patrick Gossage just a short time ago, the principal secretary is in charge of running the politics. Let's not forget, this is an election year. And Gerald Butts sat on the plane, the election campaign plane and bus with Justin Trudeau throughout that entire campaign. And really, remember, Justin Trudeau went from being third in the polls to winning a majority government. Not a lot of people saw that coming, given the state of the Liberal Party and sort of given the large opposition to that the Conservatives were trying to run against Justin Trudeau. And it was that team of Gerald Butts and Katie Telford and other senior members of sort of the Liberal Party that were helping Justin Trudeau to that election victory. So don't underestimate the importance of Gerald Butts' resignation, given the way that he and Trudeau have worked so closely together through, starting as friends, moving through their political career together. And remember, he was there right beside Justin Trudeau for that entire election campaign. And now it appears he's resigned from this role, so it doesn't look like he's going to be there for the next election, unless there's something changed or whatever. But at this time, he's resigning from this role.
Katie, thank you for this. I know we'll be speaking again. CBC's Katie Simpson in Ottawa. And for now, let's continue examining our top story, this breaking news with Laura McQuillan. And she joins...
Brian, can you make sure that they're rolling?
All right. Actually, we're still on Katie there. Just bear with us for a moment. As I say, Laura McQuillan is standing by now to give us a bit more insight into not just the role that he played, but about Gerald Butts himself. Laura.
Yeah, so today Justin Trudeau's not just lost a key advisor in his office, but this is a really close friend of his. You know, they were at McGill University together. There's an iconic photo of them that was taken on the steps. I hope we can show that to you, because this is a friendship that goes back more than 2 decades. There you see them. So long time, and it's predated by a long way Justin Trudeau going into politics. And in fact, Gerry Butts has played a key role helping Justin Trudeau get there. So when Trudeau decided he was going to become leader of the Liberals, Butts was there right behind him, becoming a policy advisor to him then. And since 2015, he's been his principal secretary at Parliament. He's a key voice in the Prime Minister's ear. Some people say he's the man who's really running things behind the scene, but it is this scandal with Jody Wilson-Raybould that has removed him from this role today. He announcing his resignation over this. Now, Butts has helped shape some of Trudeau's key policies, things like marijuana legislation. We see reports that his fingerprints were all over policies like that. He's been a sounding board for the Prime Minister. He helped the Prime Minister when Justin Trudeau, when his father died. He wrote the eulogy and he used Gerald Butts as a sounding board for that before presenting that at the funeral. So a long-time friendship, a long-time advisor. This is a key loss for the Prime Minister's office, a man who also has a big Rolodex as well as a policy brain. He's helped shape a lot of those policies. And so this, heading into election year for the Prime Minister, it's one of those situations where a lot more questions are going to come out of this rather than answers. And one of those questions as well, is Gerry Butts being made a scapegoat today? Well, we're not seeing that much out of Gerry Butts, except for that statement that Katie was referring to, a tweet thanking people for their support, a tweet from Justin Trudeau thanking Gerry Butts. So we'll keep a watch on any developments as they come to us.
For sure. Thank you for this, Laura.